Hey guys, Sean here, and welcome to the F1 Word, powered by PlanetF1.com. Now, the brand new F1 season is just around the corner, but before we get to the real action, we've got car launches to get through. And although 2025 will see all teams launch on the same day at the same event, car launches just aren't what they used to be. Great story, Grandpa. With extravagant events replaced with sponsor and partner PR, drivers pulling an old bedsheet up to reveal last year's car in this year's livery, or just some renders slapped all over social media with absolutely zero fanfare. However, over the years, F1 has seen some weird and wonderful yet still iconic launches, so here are just 5 of the most bizarre F1 car and season launches. First up, it's British American Racing, or BAR, who burst onto the F1 scene in 1999 and immediately raised more than a few eyebrows. They had some bold goals for their first season in the sport, but at their launch they revealed their 1999 Challenger in 2 very different liveries. One car was in the colours of sponsor Lucky Strike and the other in the colours of 555. Unfortunately though for the team, the FIA rules prohibited teams running 2 different liveries and stated cars must be identical apart from minor differences such as, for example, driver numbers and flags. The team did lodge a complaint to the European Commission and in the end a compromise was reached, and what a compromise it was. For the 1999 season, the team's cars would run half of each livery and split them with a zip which was painted down the middle of the car. A look which still gets scoffed at today, yet actually, as awful as it may be to many, there is actually something quite lovable about it. No? Just me? Fair enough. It was, though, a miserable 99 for BAR as Jacques Villeneuve retired from each of the first 11 races of the year, with a best result for the team of 7th at the San Marino Grand Prix, courtesy of Mika Salo, who was filling in for an injured Riccardo Zonta. Salo, by the way, not actually making the checkered flag in that race due to an electrical problem, but as only 9 cars finished and the 2 Minardis were 3 laps down, he got to keep 7th place. But nul point for BAR in 1999. Next up, and to be fair, a pretty swift one, the entry on this list, not the car, it's Pacific Team Lotus and their 1995 launch. After competing in junior categories, the team made the step up to Formula One for 1994 and 1995, but with very little success. In fact, they failed to finish a single race in 94 and didn't even qualify for most of the events. And things didn't get any better right at the start of 95, despite trying to keep the launch nice and simple. They failed, as team principal Keith Wiggins took on the battle of his life, brace yourself, just to pop the cork on a bottle of champagne at the launch of the PR02. Yes, really. Apparently, it took more than a quarter of an hour to get the cork out of the bottle. No comment. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Now, unfortunately, there aren't many, if any, photos of the event available to show you, at least not that I can use, but linked down below is a short, thrilling video of Wiggins versus the cork for you to enjoy. It is must-see content. Oh, the drama. Moving on, and now we start to get to the big show-off launches, starting with Sauber, who unveiled the C23 in 2004. Having musical acts appearing and performing at car launches wasn't exactly new at this point, more on that very shortly, but Sauber enlisted the help of British girl group the Sugar Babes. Which Sugar Babes, I hear you cry? Well, I believe it was version 2 with Kesha Buchanan, Mucha Buena and Heidi Range, but let's not get into the weird Sugar Babes Twilight Zone stuff, it'll melt your brain. But anyway, the whole thing was, much like my content at times, very cringy, with the event being held in a very cold hangar as the Sugar Babes danced around in Sauber overalls stripped to the waist, while team boss Peter Sauber and drivers Giancarlo Fisichella and Felipe Massa looked, let's say about as out of place as you'd expect. In fact, you could say they looked like they wanted to push the button to get out and would have missed the event like a hole in the head. Yes, those are Sugar Babes references, and if you enjoyed them, then you are a freak like me. I'll stop. Don't want to overload you with too many. Oh, for God's sake, why did I do that? That's staying in. Why not? Anyway, was it an awful and cringy launch? Yes. But do I want to see it again in 2025 or 2026? Abso-flipping-lutely. The season, though, was definitely better for the team than the launch was, as they picked up 34 points and finished 6th overall in the standings. And as is always the case when I'm talking about old Saubers, let's take a moment to appreciate just how good the old Sauber Petronas liveries used to look. I loved them. Yeah, I am poking fun at some parts of these launches, but it is great to look back and see just how creative teams used to get this time of year, and so credit where it's due. On that note, Jordan went all out to impress when they launched the EJ12 in 2002. If you don't know this story, I think it's a cracker. The event was held at an aircraft hangar in Brussels and began with drivers and team personnel discussing the season ahead, essentially the kind of thing you'd expect to see nowadays. However, all of a sudden, the control tower announced that a delivery for Eddie Jordan was about to arrive. With that, a DHL livery cargo plane was shown on the screen coming into land at the airport and was then towed to the hangar before the side doors opened to reveal a new car under its cover. Drivers Giancarlo Fisichella and Takuma Sato then pulled that cover off as Eddie Jordan signed a docket to confirm he had received his delivery and at the same time signed off on a deal to make DHL the team's title sponsor. What a way to reveal a new car and announce a new title partner. Impressive stuff. Unfortunately though, the launch was far more eye-catching than the team's 2002 campaign, as they ended the season with just 9 points on the board but did end up with a 6th place finish in the Constructors' standings. Now, before I get on to the final pick, how about an honourable mention or two? As I said at the start of this video, modern day launches are a long way away from the weird and wonderful world of past events, but that doesn't mean that teams haven't tried. In fact, back in 2020, Ferrari launched the SF1000 at the Tietro Valley, apologies for the pronunciation, and the team put on a real show, even though, as I recall, social media and live chats on YouTube were just full of people spamming, "Just show the car." Anyway, the event featured a DJ, an orchestra, a choir, as well as several onstage performers who gave us some dancing and some acrobatic moves, interspersed with awkward onstage interviews from the drivers and then team boss Mattia Binotto. Oh, and although perhaps not as bizarre as some events, who can forget the year Honda shocked everyone with their 2007 Earth car livery? That was quite the bold paint job, and to be fair, was far more memorable than the team's season on track. And finally, it's on to the craziest or most bizarre, or whatever you want to call it, launch, yet somehow it's become one of the most iconic. Back in 1997, McLaren revealed the MP412 at London's Alexandra Palace, which marked a new direction for the team as West's arrival as title sponsor saw a shift away from their traditional red and white Marlboro livery. The launch was absolute madness from start to finish. There were roller skaters from the musical Starlight Express performing around the crowd. There was a performance by Jamiroquai and, of course, the headline act, the Spice Girls. No, I'm not joking. It was a somewhat chaotic affair as Scary Spice allegedly thought David Coulthard was the group's limo driver, and Posh Spice tried to slip Mika Hakkinen out of his overalls. All good fun, of course, but the issue was nobody really paid a lot of attention to the car, you know, the thing the team were there to launch, and it felt as though it was very much a bit of an afterthought. Also worth saying that given his tendency to want to keep things, let's say, as professional as possible at all times, it's kind of hard to imagine Ron Dennis dancing on the sidelines to Wannabe. I guess you never know. And now that image is stuck with me for the rest of the week. But anyway, those are just 5 of the many bizarre F1 launches from over the years. But which one is your favourite? And can you think of any more weird and wonderful launches? You can let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And for the latest news, reaction and analysis from the world of Formula One, head on over to planetf1.com. And super quickly, on the subject of launches, I will be live with Stuart on Tuesday, the 18th of February, with an F175 launch watch-along. So come join us for that, and let's see if we can add it to the list of cringy and bizarre launches. I suspect we already know the answer to that one. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.